Hello guys, today our video is gonna be in adding and subtracting rational expressions. So let's go with example number 1. We have x plus 5 over 4 plus 3x over 4. So the first thing when we have a rational expression, we have to see that they have the same denominator. So that's the number on the bottom has to be the same. The denominator has to be the same. So that's all we're going to do today. So if you look at the top, you also have to see that this is a plus sign. So you have x plus 5 and then plus 3x. Because they have the same denominator, so you can just put the equal sign and you can just put the 4 on the bottom. Okay, so now at the top you have x, you have plus 5, and then you have a plus 3x. So what I like to do is collect like terms. So you have an x and you have a positive 3x, and then you just have 1 5. So when we put them together, when we add 3x plus x, you get 4x. And then the plus 5, there's nothing else that we can add, so you just put plus 5. And then you just copy the denominator. The other thing that we have to see is if there's anything that we can do to this expression to simplify it. But in this case, we cannot cancel the 4's because of this 5. Remember that this is something that we have already done in class. So once you know that you cannot simplify anymore, you circle it. That's your final answer. Okay, I'm kind of doing these examples a little fast. Just remember that if you don't understand something, you can always pause and go back to the same problem. So let's do example number 2. So I have 3x plus 5 over x plus negative 2x plus 2 over x. Again, do you see the denominators are the same, so we don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to put equals. Then I put my x on the denominator, my x on the bottom. And then I just have to worry about the top. So I have a 3x, a plus 5, a negative 2x, and a positive 2. So I'm just going to copy the whole thing. I have 3x plus 5 minus 2x plus 2. So that's my numerator. Then what I like to do is I like to circle the like terms. Here I have a 3x. I also have a negative 2x. So if I combine 3x plus negative 2x, I get x. Okay. Once I have already added them, I can just cancel them out. And then I can only worry about this. So you see how I did a circle? So you can do a square so you don't get confused. So you have a positive 5 and a positive 2. So 5, 6, 7. So because it's positive, we put plus 7. And then we have the x on the denominator. Remember again, you cannot cancel this out because you have something else. You have a plus 7. So this would be your final answer. Okay. Example number 3. I have 6x minus 4 over 12x. I have plus 2x plus 4 over 12x. Denominator is the same. Denominator is the same. Combine everything together. I have 6x minus 4 plus 2x plus 4. Okay? I have a positive 6x. I have a positive 2x. You see how in my circle I include the sign just to remind me is it positive or is it negative. So in this case I have 6x plus 2x. So that's going to give me 8x. Okay, I can cancel this out. Now look, I have a negative 4 and I have a positive 4. What happens when you have a negative and a positive and you add them together? They cancel out. So you don't have to put plus 0, so we leave it like that. And you have to copy the denominator. Now here we have an interesting example. What happens when you have the same variable top and bottom? They cancel out. Now I have an 8 and a 12. So your job is to see if you can simplify this. The easiest way I like to do it is I like to say what numbers, if I multiply two numbers, which numbers can I use to give me 8? I know that 2 times 4 gives me 8. What about 12? I can put 3 times 4, right? 3 times 4 is 12. 2 times 4 is 8. So I have the same thing here. Now what happens here? Look, I have a 4 on the top and a 4 on the bottom. Numerator, denominator. Same thing, top and bottom, cancels out. So my answer would be 2 over 3. Okay? Beautiful. Let's go to example 4. I have 2x plus 3 over x plus 5 minus x minus 3 and then x plus 5. Again, same denominator. I'm just gonna copy it. So I have x plus 5 on the bottom. Now I have to copy the top. So I have 2x plus 3. But wait, you remember if you look at examples 1, 2, and 3, they all have a plus. This one here, example 4, has a negative. So what are we supposed to do when we have a negative? We put the negative, we open a parenthesis, and then we copy whatever it's after the negative. So we have x minus 3. Once you have a negative outside the parentheses, you're supposed to distribute the negative. So let me go ahead here and copy the same thing. So I'm going to copy 2x plus 3 minus x. Negative times negative is positive, so positive 3. Okay, once you distribute the negative, you don't have to put the parentheses. You don't have to write the parentheses. Okay, and the denominator stays the same. Now that I don't have a parenthesis anymore, I can combine like terms. We have a positive 2x, we have a negative x. If I add 2x plus negative x, we end up with x. Then this is a plus 3, and then plus 3, that's going to be plus 6. And then we just copy the denominator. Okay, we cannot, remember, you cannot cancel this because you have a plus 6 at the top and a plus 5 at the bottom. So this will be your final answer. Okay, let's see, I have 2 more examples. Example 5, we have negative 2x plus 1 over x squared minus 4. Once you see this x squared minus 4, you automatically have to remember something that we saw in class. We have another minus. This is negative 3x minus 1. Negative 3x minus 1 over x squared minus 4. Okay, let me do a line here so we don't get confused. Here's something interesting. The denominator is what you guys have to remember. This is called the difference of perfect squares. When you have a negative and you have the first term, if you take the square root of x squared, it's just x, and the square root of 4 is 2. So I'm gonna go over that in a little bit. I also want you to see that this one has a negative and the first term is negative. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is copy everything with the negative and a parenthesis. So this is negative 2x plus 1 minus parenthesis negative 3x minus 1. Okay? If you remember what I just said here, x squared minus 4, let me do it here. X squared minus 4, anytime you see a difference of two perfect squares, we're going to open two parentheses. We're going to put the square root of the first one, which is x, and then here. And then always, every time this is a negative, we're going to have a minus and a plus. Okay? And the last place, you're going to take the square root of this number here. So the square root of 4 is 2. So we're going to put 2 here and 2 here. So now our denominator has turned into x minus 2 times x plus 2. And there's a reason why we do this. You'll see right now. Okay, the next thing that we have to do is get rid of this parenthesis. So I'm gonna do it here. Equals, okay, so negative 2x plus 1, negative times negative is gonna be positive 3x, and then negative times negative is gonna be positive 1. And then the denominator, I'm just gonna copy it. Can you guys see? Yeah, okay. So my denominator is x minus 2, x plus 2. Okay. Now I got rid of the denominator, so I'm gonna circle my like terms. I have negative 2x plus 3x, that's just x. So let me write it here. I'm gonna write it here. That's gone, that's gone. And I have plus 1, that's just plus 2. And then I need to copy my denominator, which is x minus 2, x plus 2. Okay? This is why we factor the perfect squares. Do you see the top? You have an x plus 2. On the bottom, you have an x plus 2. What happens when we have the same thing? We cancel it out. Remember, we can only do this if you see the two terms on the denominator, there's a multiplication. Once you have this parenthesis, that's a multiplication. Okay, if we wouldn't have a plus or a minus here, then we couldn't have done it. But because this is a multiplication, yes, we can cancel that out. People say, what do we have at the top? People say 0. No, every time we cancel something, you end up with 1. And then the denominator, we have x minus 2. And that's our answer. Isn't that beautiful? Okay. Let me do number 6 on another paper because I don't have space. Okay, this is number 6. So I have x squared plus 3x plus 4 over x squared plus 4x minus 12 plus negative x squared minus 2x minus 2 over the same denominator, which is x squared plus 4x minus 12. Okay, the first thing that I'm gonna do is check if I have the same denominator, x squared plus 4x minus 12. Okay, I have the same one. Okay, so the first thing after that, I'm gonna add the top. So this is a plus, so I don't need to rewrite it. I can just combine like terms. I have x squared, I have negative x squared. What happens? X squared minus x squared, they cancel out. Okay, let me do a square here. I have a positive 3x and a negative 2x. So plus 3x minus 2x, that's x. So I'm going to write it. Then I get rid of it because I already added them. And then I have plus 4 minus 2. So plus 4 minus 2, that's just going to be plus 2. And then I'm going to copy the same denominator. So x squared plus 4x minus 12. Here's the deal. This is a quadratic function. I already know for a fact, well, not for a fact, but if I factor this, I might be able to get an x plus 2 on the denominator, so I can cancel this. So I'm going to try and factor it out. Remember, if you have 3 terms, the square, the one that has the letter, and the one that doesn't have the letter, you can just factor it. So you open the 2 parentheses, you put the first variable on these 2 places. If this is a minus, you're gonna have a plus and a minus. And then to find these 2 numbers, we gotta find 2 numbers that when you multiply them, you get 12, and when you add them, you get positive 4. So you know how 12 is 3 times 4, or 6 times 2. I know that 6 and 2 can give me 4 if the 6 is positive. So I can put 6 and 2. Then I have to check again. Positive 6 times negative 2, that gives me negative 12. And then positive 6 minus 2 gives me positive 4. So I'm good. Okay, so now I'm going to rewrite it here. My numerator stays the same, x plus 2. And my denominator, I have x plus 6 times x minus 2. Okay? Now, is this the same thing? No, that's not the same thing. Okay, so we weren't lucky enough. If this would have been a positive 2, then we could have canceled this. But because this is a negative, we cannot cancel it. Okay? So our answer stays like this. And that's it. Okay, for my students, remember that the assignment that I posted in Google Classroom, we're only going to do numbers 1 all the way through 18, and you can skip 14. Okay, that's your assignment. You already know what to do.